right, so we're still on lesson 2, part 2. So I'm going to have you have a look at this sequence here. So 3x equals 12, 3x plus 1 equals 13, 3x plus 2 equals 14, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, what do you notice about these problems? So if I asked you to solve this first problem by guessing and checking, what would x equal? So I want you to figure that out. And then I want you to figure out what it is for each one of these problems. So go ahead and pause. Okay, so what I'm hoping that you found is that x is all the same, okay? But if you're looking at this, the first one is obviously the easiest one to guess and check because it doesn't have any other factors there. I just asked myself what multiplied by 3 in order to get 12, and that would be 4. Okay, and then that is the same throughout, but you had to take the 1 away first in order to be able to come up with x is. So that is what we are going to do in this next part. Okay, so if I was going to guess and check and try to figure out what x is, I could start by asking what number can I multiply by 4 to get as close as I can to 25, or I can say, all right, I am going to take away this 1 to start with. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 1. Oops, and that's going to be 24. And so now I have 4x is equal to 24, right? Because we know that this form is easier to deal with in guessing and checking. And then I can ask myself, what number can I multiply by 4 to get 24? Okay, so this is almost like one of these problems here. What times 4 is going to be 24? Or I can say what 24 divided by 4 is what, right? So I can just guess and check that. So x, I know that 6 times 4 is 24. So this is going to, x is going to be 6. And if I substitute that in there, I can double check and go 6 times 4 is 24. So I want you guys to do the guess and check method with these two, but I want you to take this second number out first. So pause and please do that. Okay, so to get it to an easier form, okay, we are going to subtract that 2 first. So that is going to be 15. And then I can ask myself what times x is going to give me 15, and that is 5. Okay, same here. I'm going to get rid of that 3 first. So I'm going to subtract that 3, and that's going to give me 10. And then I have 5x, and I say what times 5x is going to give me 10, and that is 2. Okay, so moving along, going down here, if you're looking at these problems here, and we're guessing and checking, okay, which one is the easiest to solve? Is there a pattern here? Okay, so have a look, find the pattern, and I want you to solve each one of these by guessing and checking. So just pause, and I want you to think about what do I notice about my answers. Okay, so welcome back. So x here, through guessing and checking, I know that 3 times 2 is 6. I notice here that 3 times 4. I notice here that 6 times 3. And I notice here that this is also 3. So why is that the case? What is this pattern that we're seeing? Okay, so how can I get to this equation from the first. So I multiplied both sides by 2 here, right? And in order to get to this problem, I multiplied both sides by 3. And to this problem, multiplied both sides by 4. Okay, so if I have two expressions that represent the same number by multiplying everything by the same number, okay, what happens is we end up with that everything having the same answer. All right, so again, this first one is obviously the easiest to solve. Okay, so if we're looking at this next sequence, okay, knowing what we just found out here is that this one is just 4 times the first one, right? What we can do to simplify a problem is what we are going to find out by doing these ones. So I want you to guess and check and solve for these ones here, and then come back. All right, so which one was the easiest to solve? Okay, so obviously the first one, because the numbers are smaller and they're easier to guess and check. So if it's easier to guess and check a smaller equation, if I'm going to look at this one and I see, you know what? This is just 4 times the first one, right? 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 8 is 32. I can take this entire problem and I can divide the whole entire thing by 4. And as we proved up here, it's not going to change what x is. So I can use this strategy to change this problem into a problem with smaller numbers that are easier to use. Then I can do that next step of removing this number so that it's easier to use. So I can do that by subtracting 2. And that's going to give me 6 here. And so this is going to be 3x. And then I can say what times 3 is going to give me 6. And that is going to be 2. And now I can take 12x plus 8 equals 32. And I can check this by plugging that number in. So that's 12 times 2 plus 8 equals 32. 12 times 2 is 24. And then if I add the 8, it is 32. Okay, so in order to get rid of this number, remember that we're subtracting it over here from itself and then subtracting it on the other side. Because when we're doing this, we're adding it in, so we have to take it out in order to be left with just the variable and the number being multiplied by. Okay, so make sure you guys do the worksheet that comes with this so you can have some practice of the guessing and checking